And we are live. Welcome back to On the King's Dime. It is the 1st of December, and we've got a season 21-22 preview to bring to you tonight. Man, this season's just crept up on us so quickly.
New,
It's
new season,
crazy.
new Rona. That's the way the world works these days.
Yeah, I was all set. I didn't get a chance to watch any of that Blitz coverage at all, and then I'm like Saturday, it's a night game sitting there ready to go, and it gets cancelled. I'm just like, oh man. So we're gonna give a bit of a preview. Andy's done all these research. I unfortunately haven't been able to watch as much. But still, we're gonna go through all of that tonight. There is some tips to do. Shout out! I finally, after you texted me like we're doing tipping comp, and I was like, oh my god, it's 4 days until the season kicks off. Completely forgot about that. So I rushed that through today. Thanks to everyone who's shouted out and sort of said they're gonna join the tipping comp. Couple of new entrants this year. We're all chasing the foxes. Everyone. So many messages of just like we're gonna get those foxes this year, so it's good. Watch out. And yeah, so thank you to everyone. And you're still not too late to sign up to that. So if you want to sign up to that, just give us a message, a
I
Facebook
also,
message, or
yeah, that's right. And I've also done a fantasy NBL fantasy comp, which I'll be posting up tomorrow,
yeah,
for,
sweet.
for a private group on the
Yep,
King's Dime. So there's going to be prizes for both the fantasy comp as well as the tipping comp.
nice.
So keep people interested. Those prizes will be announced next year, but last year was a Jerome Martin auto, which is pretty cool.
Yep.
Um,
I've still got it here. Just I haven't been able to go out of the house, so I've still got
yeah,
it here. But it has gotten closer in proximity to the Foxes, so we'll get it to them as soon as possible. Stay tight out there. Jenny Fox, last year's winner. But yeah, fantasy. Man, I'd love to play fantasy this year, but I just don't have the time. Really,
yeah,
that'd
Ben
be
doesn't have
great.
the
I might
time.
try, but and also my history of just like 3 weeks in and I've got no points. I'm out. See you later.
Yeah, so this year's it's a bit easier than I think a lot of other fantasy leagues. It's way easier than NRL fantasy, so it's pretty good. But yeah, we'll give that a crack this year and see if we can't get that off the ground. So I'll post that up tomorrow with a code. So please join and have some fun.
Yep, and we will do some previewing stuff, and yeah, we'll talk about the game and get those tips out there. If you want to if you want to subscribe, rather, you're listening to us live on Facebook at the moment. Give us a like and subscribe. If you want to watch us on Facebook, we do these live and we broadcast them to Facebook, and then I put them on YouTube afterwards. Oops. And then I put them up in audio form on the Anchor platform, which goes out onto Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. So if you want to listen to us in audio form, then there's the spots that you can find us. Give us a rating and review. That's always great to get those rating reviews in there. And yeah, let's get into it, man, because it's been just a whirlwind these Blitz games. Let's talk about those Blitz games because I didn't actually get a chance to watch them.
Yeah, I mean the first two games were kind of a who's who of the bench, which I mean because we had so many injuries. Jalen Adams was injured. RJ Hunter was injured. I mean we've got no Jordan.
Yeah,
Jordan
what's happened to
Hunter,
him? He's injured, isn't he?
yeah, he's got a hip or an ankle. He's out for a little bit. He's going to be out for a little bit. Obviously, DJ still, making his way back from that Achilles. So we got to see a lot of bench depth. We got to see a lot of Bilawali Bales, who I actually personally think he's the pickup of the century because he's got some skills for his age, and if he can develop, I think he will be a top guard in this league in the next 5 years. 100% believe that. I don't know why that. I mean, he's a local boy, Redfern, but I don't know why like a team like the Jack Jumpers didn't just go. Do you want to come and play second fiddle here and develop? We'll have you alongside. You'll play backup point guard. I mean, he's third string at Sydney, but obviously development player this year and then full contract next year. So he was very exciting to watch. I enjoyed that. We got to see a little bit of Jalen Galloway, who played last year as a development player, but really developed in that Emus run of the FIBA Under 19 World Cup. He looks good, man. He looks like a player in this that will play in this league for many years. Maybe even a European kind of style talent. Three can stretch, pretty athletic, can kind of run up and down the floor. So that was good to see. Didn't get much of the makers. They were both injured up. They played in the third game, but kind of in limited minutes and in limited scenarios. Coach Burford, is it Burford?
Buford.
Buford. This is
R.C. Buford's son, I think it is.
yeah, Buford, Coach Buford. A lot of high pick and rolls, man. This is
Yeah.
like G League Central, massive high pick and rolls, and a lot of teams don't kind of really know how to defend it, which is kind of funny because I mean, the last few years we've not played the high pick and roll well, but this team is just all about high pick and rolls, and it's pretty funny. We saw some 4-5 pick and roll. Um, it's definitely a more youthful team, faster team. It's the most exciting team I think we've had in the whole time we've done this podcast. Just quietly. The actual
Does it beat that team with like Jay Sean Tate?
Yeah, I think it does. I
Yeah.
think that Jalen Adams is an exciting prospect. I think RJ Hunter can shoot lights out, and we've got a couple of makers like in the kind of the backup. I mean, with the deepest team, Xavier Cooks. We're not even talking about Xavier Cooks, who's an amazing player in this league. This team is deep. It goes like I was having a really deep think about this the other night, and bar kind of like the development players. Tommy Vodanovic is kind of the weakest link, and I really like Tommy as a player. Can shoot the three ball well, goes hard, can kind of listen to coaching. And so if he's your weakest link, you're doing pretty well in the team. So I was pretty excited about that watching those 3 games. And we beat Melbourne as well. Melbourne looked really bad this year, really bad.
They lost McCarron, and McCarron, it was last year they kind of were like, all right, we'll get everything out of the way, and it'll just kind of be McCarron running point with everything else sort of formulated around that. And then they lose McCarron, and it's like, but you just got everything out of the way. I mean, they just walked the league in, so you're like, fair enough. And they had Jock Landale was red hot. Chris Golding had a kind of a point to prove, played out of his skin as well. And then to just lose McCarron, it's like, ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah, but
interesting.
Is Delhi an upgrade? That's the thing, right?
I don't know. Why not? Sure. No, I don't think he is. To be honest, I think McCarron is NBL proven, right, and could do a few things really really well at an NBL level, right. And then you toss Delhi into that, and it's kind of a little bit like we don't know what to expect from Delhi. Like Delhi's a solid defender. He can't really shoot, man. He's shooting.
He's shot well in the last few games. Kind of he's got that NBL. He's got that FIBA range. In the NBA, it just looks terrible. Keeps hitting the front of the rim. But it's kind of that FIBA range. Very similar to Matisse Thybulle. Very FIBA range. They're always hitting the front of the rim. So no, he shot pretty well. He has no inside game. It's kind of a weird 3 and float game. That step out and kind of to the 3, but has no real jump shot, and kind of just puts up the float if he gets inside and can kind of maybe finish around a couple of guys, but definitely not as skilled as some of the other point guards in the league at running a team.
I think it like scoring, right? Like he playmake and almost to the point where if you watched him at those at the Cavs in some of those Cavs team, it was like you knew he wasn't going to try and score the ball, so you could kind of just hedge on him creating something. Yeah. And then you force him to score, and that's where he kind of was put into these situations where his floater game was a little bit janky here and there. The mid range, he's not someone who's just like, oh, I need to get myself going. I'll go to the mid range. Like if he's getting himself going, he's diming people up. He's getting 10, 11 assists, and that's how he's getting the team and him going. And I'm still not trusting that shot. If they're going down, okay, fair enough. But I'm still looking at that going, I don't trust him to shoot 32%.
Yeah,
at a confident level where you can go bank. Fine.
I think it'll be 30 or 40% on low numbers. I don't think he's going to take a lot of shots. It's definitely something he needs to develop because he's thinking about stepping back into the NBA arena.
Really?
And you're not going to. Yeah, you talk about this as a stepping stone back because he's had so many injuries over the last couple of years. He may have got a roster spot somewhere this year, but it was maybe later in the season and highly unlikely. So that's why he's come back, which is fair enough. It's great for the NBL.
Yeah, there you go.
But it's he's aiming to get back, which means he has to develop, which is only going to be better for Australian basketball, especially in the next World Cup qualifiers, which we're going to have to play with an NBL cast. So I mean that's great. We've got a good NBL team, but you want to see him playing well. Now back to Sydney. Gerald Martin looks good, looks fit, looks leaner. Jalen Adams looks good in what I saw of him. I've seen him a little bit in the NBA over the like his rookie and freshman season. Saw a little bit of him with the Atlanta Hawks. skillful point guard. He's, if he was 6'4", he'd be in the NBA kind of thing. It's that height differential that they want, those mutant point guards at the moment. And he, probably could play third string point guard on a team in the NBA, but kind of wants to play more basketball and do that. So yeah, I like he's an upgrade of Casper, where in shooting sense, especially in the mid range game, can get to his spots and is a little bit bigger as well. It takes up a little bit more of the court, which is nice. I think Casper was a good defender, but I think he's substantially longer, more your traditional point guard, kind of lengthy, 6'1" lengthy point guard with good wingspan. So that's good. Didn't see anything of RJ Hunter. So, I mean, I've seen a little bit of him in Celtics jersey, but nothing really in the last couple of years. But, this team glued well, mate. The bench depth glued well. They look like a united team. Cooks was playing magnificently. Jerome Martin looked good. Three ball dropped off a bit, but I suppose it's preseason, so it doesn't really mean too much. But yeah, man, I can't hype Wally Bales up more enough. He's a boomer. He's going to be a boomer in years to come. That he's skillful and quick and reminds me a lot of Jerome Randall. Just quick handles, tight handles, ridiculous shots out of nothing. Four guys hit him and he disappears and the ball goes in the hoop. So that's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
Because
Watching him in that Emus was something where you just went, oh, okay. Like super fast and relentless too, like a relentless player. Didn't need the ball. Like he made cuts off the ball, smart cutter. And then on the ball, looked to score and looked to get to his spot. And it wasn't grabbing the ball and going, me, I want to take those shots. It was kind of smart with the ball. So I'm looking forward to see how he goes this season.
He reminds me so much of a nugget Patty Mills. Like he's really nuggety and he's quick. And you know what? If you can ever develop a shot on the run, a shot coming off a screen, like
on the
league on the curl, man, the league is yours. Like that's, Patty's just absolutely killing it for the Brooklyn Nets.
Yeah, he's shooting really well. I saw 50% or something like that. It's crazy.
Just on high numbers as well. So we want those in the Australian colours. But yeah, I can't speak more highly of him in this team. I don't really know how Jordan Hunt's going to fit in this team, to be completely honest with you. I mean,
did we see enough of the makers?
No. I don't really know what they're going to bring to the table. They look like coordinated people. I think McCurr played the third game. That's going to be an interesting one to call those two.
Man. There's going to be some maker misdiagnoses going on for sure. And not just in this program, man. It's going to be on the NBL telecast as well.
Yeah, so that's pretty interesting. But yeah, solid 5. Maybe a little bit Gumby, can handle the ball. Didn't really offer any shots, kind of things like that. Just played on the rim, around the rim and the inside. So I don't know. You look at some of their college and high school highlight reels and handles and 3-point shots. He did shoot 1 3, and it did look like it was a decent mechanic. It wasn't some bowl thing where it's trebucheted behind the head.
Effective.
But I like what Coach Buford's done with the team. I like the tightness of the pick and roll. It's very tight. You can see it suits Sean Bruce's game a lot better than Will Weaver's kind of high weave / pin down screens coming down off a pin down. I think he's the traditional pick and roll will do wonders this year, and it's the perfect thing. Like, it's your go-to bucket. Pick and roll, go to bucket, get Jerome Martin close enough to the bucket where he can spin and score. I really think this team with DJ coming back, barring any major injuries, has such a depth of it that we could essentially make the finals pretty easily.
Yeah.
Now? Yeah, I'm calling it now. I just
having seen none of preseason, I'm looking at it going, I don't know. I'm not sure, but
they almost beat a full strength Phoenix team with no one. They beat a Melbourne team with no one. And New Zealand had the hottest shooting streak in their NBL preseason history. They look like a good team, New Zealand. Like, I won't discount them. They're not last year's team. They're not the team of last year. They look really good. They've got a couple of classy imports. They've got a couple of next stars.
I think Abercrombie got injured too.
Yeah. Okay. Game. Yeah. So
one of the games.
You've got a couple of really good, next stars, young talent. That they've got a French guy who's massive. Um, I mean, there's some interesting players that are in this league this year. Less of circus, more of like Zhao Chi for the Phoenix, who's like 7'3", 7'4",
Mm.
and you just look at it and think, he's standing 5 inch, head taller than Brokoff, who's 6'7", and you're just like, wow. Um, Kay Soto for the Adelaide
Yeah.
36ers, an interesting prospect. So there's some more interesting prospects in this league. The makers are interesting prospects. I mean, I'm excited for NBL 21-22 because the league seems to be building on talent. Um, Jalen Adams is a big scout for the NBL. Um,
Yeah, I was thinking that actually the other day. Really, that's huge, right? Because he was playing in the G League, playing with Wisconsin, and then I'm not sure if he was picked up before the new season. Was he? I don't know if he was, but if he wasn't if he wasn't picked up by a G League team, and then he just came to Australia to play, man, that's a huge, huge coup, right?
yeah,
Because from I did watch a few clips of him in the G League, and the other thing you were saying like that differentiates him between Casper is he can get to the rim and score the ball like not in traffic, right? He can blow by his guy, he can get to the rim, and he's got like an array of moves. Like Casper had the odd move, like a little floater here and there, but you were never sitting there going, "Oh, that's his move." Like he beats the guy off the dribble. Like Casper was kind of driving into the teeth of the D, and almost all the time, and having to pull out these circus finishes. There was nothing easy there. But
yeah,
watching Jalen Adams in those highlights in the Wisconsin Herd, like he was breaking free of the pick and roll at a better clip, I thought, than what Casper was last year
yeah, yeah,
in that creating that space, the separation, and Fever's only going to help that. Really, it's only going to give him more room. And then Coach Buford, like you said, tossing in this high pick and roll strategy is going to be even better. And like there was this mad dunk in that highlights package
yeah.
over a 7-footer, and I was like, that is something that Casper never had. Right,
No,
somebody with the power off the dribble to dunk. Is going to be huge. Like, because if he gets those downhill moments and starts dunking the ball, like gets everyone up, gets everyone going. It's not just him, and it's also a huge move, like to get to the bucket to
yeah.
add to the arsenal that we just didn't have last year.
Oh, I completely agree. It's explosive power. This team is explosive. I think last year there was a lot of, you know, not the most athletic team. Skilled, talented, played well together. You know, dogged by injury. Last season was really just dogged by injury. Um, this year, I think we're going to have a markedly better team. I'm quite confident if one player goes down, there's enough. You know, I mean, if 8 players go down with COVID, then you can ask to postpone. But there's enough talent in this team, I think, even to go deep into the development players to win games. Um, I just
Is that a mandate, the 8-player thing?
they have to minimum 8 players, so you can essentially have one like ring in. You're allowed one ring in if you have below 8 players to get you the 8 player, but must have a minimum of 8 players. There's a whole like list of things. They really want to keep the games on schedule and not
Mm.
postpone. So essentially, most of the team has to be out with COVID. But if you've got a couple out and the rest don't test, but I don't know if you're all training together and like breathing together, like they're all vaccinated, but
Mm.
it, they're all training breathing together. I suppose they're all close contacts, and it depends what state as well and their rules and regulations. So Melbourne's a little bit harder. I imagine Queensland will be even harder as well. So
It's just
still
we're
some
gonna have
stuff
to
to
deal
work
with it,
out.
right? We're
Yeah,
just
still
gonna have
some
to
stuff
deal
to
with
work.
it. And I hope, like, at least because I remember thinking about all the way back to right at the start, going like, man, like what the hell? Like we could lose basketball forever, and then after 6 to 8 months, you're just like, oh, this is nothing. Why are we even stopping for this? And then to now, where it's like most people are vaccinated, so there is a genuine like flag in the sand spot to go. All right, like there's a legitimate pressure taken off what's going to happen with these games. So as a franchise, or sorry, as a league, you can kind of make easier decisions. Like there's none of this like, oh, like what could happen? Like, oh no, we created a health problem. Like now you can't really do that. Like you can
Well, I don't know,
actually,
man. Like, because it's you look at the NBA this year, and there's been. I mean, King James is out with COVID at the moment. He got the COVID
really,
today. Yeah, 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 yeah. He
oh
kind of
man,
the LeBron has the COVID. You know,
What's
the
the
two of
list
them
like in the NBA? How many people have COVID?
this year. Few Joel Embiid had it. Matisse Thybulle
That's
had
right.
it.
Yeah.
Tobias Harris had it. Uh, there's been a few at Philly. There's been a few Lakers. Yeah, a lot of people are getting it. I mean, they're all fully vaccinated, but they're still testing positive, and you have to go into the 10-day protocol essentially, which is huge in the NBA. It's like 5 games, and then
Mm.
that's going to be more differential towards the end of the season. So you hope it all kind of everyone gets the COVID before game 60, but in a 30 odd game season in the NBL, you can't really be out for 2 weeks kind of thing. And that's I think it's 7 days in New South Wales. I don't know what it's going to be in Queensland, but um, you don't want to really be out for too long. Sick or asymptomatic, which is going to be problematic. But I think that's probably going to be our biggest challenge this year, is managing, and all the teams is managing COVID, really. And obviously Perth won't open up, so I don't know where the hell they're playing.
Yeah, they're
I have
gonna
no,
have to come out and play out over on the eastern states or something like that, right?
yeah, I think Adelaide plays at home now, but yeah, Perth will have to be playing in Melbourne or Sydney, I imagine.
That's huge. I mean, if they lose a lot of their home access, that's going to be very interesting to see how they go. And writing them off at your peril, right? They made the finals last year, but
Yeah, I don't know,
this
man.
this year, yeah, this year kind of feels like a little bit like, yeah, it might be the year.
I
Might
think I
finally be
think
Spurs style.
I think it might be the year of Sydney. I think the Phoenix are strong. I think Brisbane are strong, and New Zealand are strong. You can write off Tasmania for a couple of seasons, but um,
Have you seen any of them? They look any good?
Tasmania, no, not really. I mean, look, it's basketball's anyone's game, right? You have a good enough night, and shooters get hot enough. New Zealand looks okay. Melbourne looks a tad dodgy. Not to my Melbourne liking.
Yeah, because last year we were straight up just like that looks like a team that's gonna win.
Yeah. So, but this year doesn't look that. Um, Phoenix do. I think this is the year of Brokoff, which would be good. I
Mm.
think it's good for Australian basketball. Brisbane, yeah, Vic Law's back. They've got a solid team.
No, I think
Sobey
Vic
plays.
Law's in Perth.
Is Vic Law in Perth? Sorry. Yeah, no, you are
Wait,
correct.
yeah, yeah.
What
I
do you call
think
this back?
yeah.
Who's game show host? Who's game show host? Lamar Patterson.
Lamar
Apparently,
Patterson, yeah, that's
game
right.
show
Yeah,
host. Sorry, he's
game
back.
show
Apparently
host.
to pre-pandemic form, because I think he had
Ooh,
a few too many burgers during the pandemic and
yeah.
and had a bit of a cheeseburger butt last year. So he's
Looking
apparently
at
back,
12 kilos lost.
probably something like that.
I think that's pre-pandemic form. I reckon it was set the over under at 12 kilos.
um,
That's crazy.
no, it was a lot of weight, man. He just didn't
Yeah,
look
he got
right.
super heavy and super disengaged too. And that team was Sobey, right? And then Vic Law had this huge scorching run and then got injured, and that was a real shame for them. And I mean, it's always hard with Sobey because he's NBL good enough to be like, this is your team, this is your franchise, but he's also NBL not good enough, and it's just like you can't play any defense, and like
Yeah,
you just get rinsed. And then we see that right when it steps out to an Australia level, and it's not his fault. I mean, he gets picked in these teams, and fair enough, he gets those experience, and they're like, yeah, fair enough, he's a good enough player to kind of be in that 15th man role. But you kind of see it right
yeah.
where
He's
he
just
just
a
gets
more
rinsed on
he's just a
defense.
more accomplished Kyle Adnam. Really
Yeah,
can score really well, but this game is not going to be built on scoring. It's going to be built on defending.
if you had like the Venn diagram, you got like in the dirty side, you've got Mitch Norton, and
Yeah,
then in the like all round side, you got McCarron, and then you got like Adnam and Sobey in the bottom corners, right? And they all kind of cross over, and they're all kind of the same player. But looking at the player that McCarron was, and now he's going to Adelaide, that's huge for them,
yeah. They've got a good team, Adelaide.
man.
Um,
Because I'm just trying to think. The Taipans, they brought Nate Jarwai back. But apart from that, I haven't seen what their roster looks like.
Quiet noise there. I think Mojave King is still there. I think so. Has he gone to Adelaide?
I'm
Um,
looking it up.
it's Scott Machado's still running points.
Yeah,
I
is he
don't
still
know.
there? That's fair
Yeah,
enough. I mean, he's him and Oliver were. I think Oliver's back there, is he? Oh, no, yeah, Oliver's back
I don't think so.
because that maybe this is real GM, so I probably should actually look at the NBA website. Let's
Yeah,
try
let's go. Let's
that.
go to the.
Because those two right are a finals level backcourt, right? Or
Yeah,
back and front court, like combination. And it's based on something that's like on paper tangible. Like once you start seeing it, you're kind of a little bit like, oh right, like like Cam Oliver's kind of block happy, and Scott Machado he plays a decent level of defense, and then just gets rinsed for a bunch of
Yeah,
fouls and
no, no
complains
Cam
and gets in
Oliver.
his head.
No Cam Oliver.
Looking
Steven
at
Zimmerman
this,
is the center. Oof.
Zimmerman, ooh,
Nate Joe White. Yeah, they don't really have a great team this year, the Cairns Taipans, unfortunately. Um,
yeah, they had a good team.
2 years ago, they had a great team.
Mm.
Really good team. And
Yeah, it's a shame for them too, right? Because yeah, they were on the up and up a couple of
yeah.
seasons ago, and then they lose Mike Kelly, the coach,
Mm.
and suddenly yeah, looking like they might drop back into
Oh,
the
no,
pack.
40 might do something with them this year,
Oh,
but
that's right, 40. I knew there was a connection. I'm like in my mind, it's ticking over. I'm like, there's some sort of
yeah.
connection that we have to Can't stop fans. Oh, 40. Yeah, there you go. It might be, they might have some injuries, and you might be able to pull it out of the fire. Too soon?
Yeah.
Too soon on that one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the old Jack Jumper's looking a bit woeful.
Yeah, I mean, first year jitters. What did the Phoenix? Didn't they start a bit dodgy and then had this huge run and then went back to being dodgy and to make the playoffs?
Yeah, I think that they're definitely got a deeper team this year. I think a little bit deeper. It just doesn't go as deep as Sydney for my liking. Adelaide is looking good. Cambesto, Mitch McCarron, Humpho. Well, Harvey King's at Adelaide. I was right about that. He moved K Soto. Um,
Oh,
yeah, even
Pinder, that's right. Keanu Pinder's there now at Cairns.
yeah, Tad Duffelmeyer is their point guard. I don't know, man. I think Sydney just looks too strong on paper.
Yeah,
This is the first year I've looked at them and gone, yeah, too strong on paper. They're just too deep. Um, you've
with
got
guys coming back too, which is
with
good.
guys coming back, with DJ coming back, with shooting, with Xavier Cooks at full strength, is which he's on the cusp. He's on the cusp of doing something, Xavier Cooks, whether it's top flight Europe or NBA. He's on the cusp. You'd have to say he's a decent three shot away from something because he's too good defensively. He's too good around the rim. He's a great rebounder. Reminds me a lot of Dennis Rodman on the
Mm.
defensive boards. And he just, if the NBA really requires a stretch four in his kind of play style, he's just not there yet. The mechanics of his shot are still not great. Maybe he hits
Yeah,
it a little bit easier, but the mechanics are not great.
he's
So
very almost a chess pass,
yeah,
his
yeah.
shot, and it is what it is. And then the Hawks is the last team that getting a lot of hype. The Hawks team,
You never write off old Gorgie, could you?
nah, it's a shame
Taking
they didn't make the finals last year because they probably were the second best team in the league.
yeah, I'd say that they're not deep. That's the problem, right? Is that they're limited in their amount of plays that they can have. Duop Reith is playing for them. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, they need that, man. After
Yeah,
Ogilvy last year, every time he'd step on the floor, it'd just get rinsed.
yeah. Tim Codwell, Harry Froling, Daniel Grid, Emmett Nah, Sam Froling,
And
Tyler
then
Harvey,
yeah, Tyler Harvey's chucking up
Justinian
some.
Jestup's back. They've got a good team, man. Like that'll be a good little F. What is
And
it?
then also to balance all of that forward play, the most disappointing man in Australian basketball, Harry Froling.
Yeah,
So it's the Froling brothers. Interesting.
yeah. It's a decent team. It's a
Mm.
decent team. I
I don't
still
know.
like
It
Sydney.
doesn't look championship level, but
Oh no, man, Duop Reith is a good player. Duop Reith
yeah,
is so underrated as a setter.
mm.
So underrated.
Can shoot it.
Uh, can shoot it, can defend, can play around the rim, can finish, can O board. It's yeah, that's the dark horse. I think dark horses for me is definitely the Hawks.
Yeah,
Um,
they're getting a lot of hype. I think they were first on a bunch of the like power rankings and stuff like that. So it'll be
yeah,
interesting to see how they go. They're a traditional rival, and we play them in the second round. So hopefully we can do a little bit of damage to their start of the season. Should we move on to just a quick preview of the game against United? So the game, just describe some more of that game that we played against them the other night.
um, how can I describe that game? They just had no answer for the high pick and roll. They really didn't. And this is a team that was Shawnee Bruce was running point and Bilali Bales was second. There was no Jalen Adams. There was no um, RJ Hunter. There was some Jurel Martin. There's some Xavier Cooks. There was no Jordan Hunter. They went deep into their Jalen. Jalen Galloway played very well that game. He's got a lot of length and a lot of size for a young guy, and he can shoot. He can stretch the floor. So he's definitely a name for the future. Um,
Did Delhi play in that game?
Delhi played in that game. Shot the ball. Well on limited shots, but again, the NBA gives you so much more room. FIBA's so cramped, and these are all very smart teams. This is not the NBL of like 7 years ago, where there was room for days and like the defense is tight. Coaches expect more. The rosters are deeper. You're playing for your spot. Like that it's just a different league than probably 8 years ago when Delhi was first up and coming. And so I think he's going to struggle to adjust to the physical nature of the game, and just being hounded. Like full court press was in full mode, both with Melbourne. Melbourne pressed Sydney and Sydney pressed Melbourne. It's just disgusting to see, but it was done. Um, I don't see Melbourne winning this game, not with the
Yeah.
depth that Sydney has.
And the huge one being Chris Golding being out. Just
Yeah, well,
looking at
that's it.
his box score in that game, 3 points, 1 of 7, 1 of 7 from three. Basically, didn't take any other shots, and you kind of wonder the impact that him being out is going to have a huge impact, right? Because he's one of their main players. He's one of their scorers. He's kind of like a heartbeat player for their team. The rest of that team is a little bit messy. I mean, Joe Lualachul
Great
has
player.
had some monster games in this preseason, but
That's more out of need than expectation because there's really no one else there to carry the load.
and
That's
we've always had a tendency to like chub out the better shooting big men, right?
yeah,
Like any big man that isn't kind of adept at scoring a lot inside, we've kind of been able to chub out. And the guys that go out to the perimeter, we've been able to kind of nullify that a little bit. So it would be interesting to see how he plays. And then, yeah, looking at like Peatling, he's Australia's greatest trier. Brad Newell is going to be an emotional return to kudos for him. So I'm wondering how he goes. He might want to put on a show. 1 of 6 in that game, 3 points. Wow.
yeah.
And then kind of looking at the rest of it, it's a little bit, I don't know, that was their preseason team, but it's a little bit like, Barlow, Brewster, Dalton, Hickey, and then, next to Mitch Norton, yeah, the second dirtiest player in the league in Shea Ely. Yeah, I don't know. I look at it and go, yes, we should win this game. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know what it is, man, but there's something in me that's behind the surface, just being like, I have a feeling this is not going to be good. This is not going to be a good team, but it's probably rooted in absolutely nothing. And you could probably go back to each season and just be like, man, I got a bad feeling about this season. Like, you probably clip it up and just be a carbon copy of my same fucking
Yeah.
response to this. Oh, I don't know about this team, man. But I got to see it. I will watch the game on Sunday. I'll try to watch as many games as I can this weekend. But yeah, I'll definitely watch that game. I can't go out to the game. I don't have time to go out to the game. But and what about Wani Swakalobaluk? Yeah, nailed that.
Yeah. They kept calling him Bullock, which is hilarious. It's my
Bullock.
name. He's my brother from a distant
Yeah, for sure.
relative's mother.
Yeah.
Tries hard, a
A
little
bit
bit Gumby.
a bit Dengakuthi.
Not even Dengakuthi, just a little bit maybe not kind of understanding his time and space and his body in space. Still young, um, deep bench rotation, but defends well, but then can turn the ball over off a good defensive play. So he's too jittery. I think he's just got to calm down a bit. Too jittery, too like spotlighty. Um, I don't think he'll be playing many minutes until we need them.
No, it was the other one I was thinking of Kawani, where it was like has a need in this team, and then you just don't see him at all, and you kind of like, yeah, when he's out there, you kind of just a bit like, yeah, why are we giving him minutes?
Yeah,
But another body on the bench is another good thing, and a big guy can kind of block a shot or two if we need him to come out there. Jerome Martin, how's he looked?
good,
Yep,
physically good. Bit.
we're getting him some better shots.
Yes. Well, he suits pick and roll.
Yeah,
He's not.
true.
He's not going out to the perimeter to try and back down and roll to the basket. It's you getting him in pick and roll. They can play the mid range. You can play the roll to the basket. He can play the spin to the basket. It's just different. So definitely the pick and roll and spread the floor does work. Or you can
And
kick it out as
even
well.
off pick and roll, right? Like it doesn't necessarily have to be him setting the screen.
No, it
Like you
doesn't
can
even.
kind of off that pick and roll play make and find him in some better positions. Because even like we said it before last year, just having the time, the patience, and the rhythm and pace to be able to get him into spots to get on the block. Like last year, it was just so much tossing it into him and just like, just score it, score it. And I was like, but I'm 18 feet out. Like, how am I meant to score this? What the hell? Like,
Yeah,
let me establish in the post, then give me the ball. What about Glover? Because man, how much are we hoping that he just has a great season? Because that like
dude. Look,
beyond like him being good, it's like I want him to be good because he deserves like some sort of
Ben,
injury redemption.
he's so fucking good. He's
Yeah,
so good. Oh my god, he was so good at the preseason.
yeah.
Like I
18
just,
points in this game, 6 of 10,
man, just he's so athletic for like a white dude. Just
with
Vincent
like bionic knees, man.
with
Like I don't think
bionic
any of
knees.
his knees are left.
No, yeah, they just he's very good. Can shoot the three ball, quick, explosive. I just for a guy that's just done his knee 3 times. He's 23, which even just blew my mind further. This dude is so young and has had so many injuries, and I wince every time he gets the ball. But I hope he plays like six man of the year.
Mm.
He looked good, man. He looked really good. So explosive and finishes around the rim so well. Um, yeah, this
That's what
team
they
is
wanted him for, man. He's such a smart player, and it's just, even the play he got injured on against the Taipans. I'm pretty sure he went up against Jawai and like tried to push off around Jawai, and it just didn't happen because Jawai's such a beast. But I hope, man, just not even for the fact that we'll be good if he's good. I just want him to be good, and it's a like a story you can connect to as a fan and go,
mm,
man, if he's good, it's going to be just an extra sweetener on the top of that. So,
yeah,
all right, well, let's do tips.
cool.
Let's get into the tips. And a reminder, we'll do the MVP as well after every game. And I'll try and make sure I do the fan MVP. It kind of fell off a little bit towards the end of the last season. But I'll try and make sure I do those. I'll get those set up pretty early. There's a lot of weird games of just like that game didn't happen. Now we've got to wait. And then here's another game. And so we weren't able to like queue those up to get them out. So I'll try and do that a bit more this season. The first round one, first game Friday night, and it is the brand new franchise, the Jack Jumpers at home to the Bullets.
Bullets.
Bullets. I think there's going to be a lot of just. I'm not taking the Jack Jumpers yet. I need to see it. I need to see what this team's all about. And then Perth at home to the 36ers.
Where's it at home at?
It's Perth at home. Yeah, true. Good point. Good point.
36ers.
Let me
36ers.
let's check that because it's actually a good point, right? Because I like Perth no matter what. It's just kind of early in the season. If you don't know what's happening, you kind of like, yeah, I'll probably just stick with Perth, right? But if they're not playing at home, why is this, man, this website can just be awful sometimes. It says RAC Arena.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening.
It could be a lie.
It is a lie. It's a dirty, dirty lie. I'll go Adelaide.
You going Adelaide? Yeah, I
Yeah,
went Perth. I think,
it's
yeah.
probably in Adelaide, mate. It's got to be in Adelaide or Melbourne.
Let's Google it. Where is the Perth versus Adelaide game
Mate,
being
they're not even
played?
opening for the fifth test. Come on, as if they're going to open up for the Perth podcast.
Perth Wildcats. All right, Perth Scorchers. Good on you, Perth Scorchers. How was KO's coverage? Because I kind of said something about it last week.
It was, I mean, they were preseason, so it was done
Yeah.
in a rec center, but it was pretty average. I like listening to Andrew Gaze. That's the only one I like listening to
Mm.
because he's so funny.
No, I can't find anything.
It's all right. We'll have a look.
Yeah, all
I'm
right.
sure
So
it'll
you're
be.
going 36s. I'll go Perth. But yeah, nah, okay. As soon as they wanted me to sign up, and I'm like, I've signed up. Like, what are you talking about? I have
Oh,
KO.
yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what the hell are you doing?
You
And
don't
then
have to sign
mocking
up.
people being like, you know what's mad? 4K. It's like, you know what you can stream? 4K. Why are you telling me to get the cable service that's inferior and telling me that has 4K? Like, what the hell are you doing? Like, that's scandalous behavior. Could not believe that. I
I know
was
it
like,
was
what the
just on
hell?
freebies, which just turned out to be if you had normal KO, it didn't really matter. So
Oh,
anyway,
just a disgrace. And like, you can't get the minis to work. That's one of the reasons why I haven't been watching the NBA this season because those minis look just dreadful. They're in awful quality. And you
what
can't
is
watch it.
that?
It's unwatchable.
what is that? It is in awful quality. I
Yeah,
noticed
it's
that.
all jittery, and like I
Yeah,
felt sick watching like a minute of it, like the first game of the season. I was like, I'm out. And then yeah, seeing that where they were just like, yeah, 4K on the cable service, how good's that? And I was like, stream 4K. What are you doing? Like, oh, the worst. Anyway,
yeah.
Phoenix at home to Breakers.
Oh, I'm gonna get the Phoenix.
Phoenix, yeah, I went Phoenix as well. 36ers at home to the Hawks.
Hawks.
Hawks. I think I went Hawks. Yeah, I did go Hawks. I think it'll be a good game, but I think this 36ers team is a bit of a dark horse, man, with McCarron.
Yeah.
Kings at home to United.
Kings.
Yeah, I have to go Kings. I think that United team is beatable. And then Perth at home to the Taipans. Who knows where that game's going to be versus the Types. Yeah. Perth. And that's locked in. And yeah, everyone else out there, thank you for all the messages to join the tipping comp. Make sure you get your tips in before the tip, and a reminder that you can do a block of tips if you want, and then after the first game tips off, like your tips aren't locked in. As long as you get that message in, there's a timestamp. We can go, yeah, we'll change this and that and that. So that's all good. I got the spreadsheet here ready to go. And yeah, I think that's about it. That's all we can cover for this week. We'll probably be back next week, Monday. Mondays are really the only day that I kind of have space at the moment. So hopefully we don't get too many Monday games where we're stuck watching games, and we can come back and do our regular thing on a Monday night a little bit more often over the next few weeks with Christmas and then the New Year happening. So anything else?
That's it. I'll get fantasy up running tomorrow. For those who are interested,
fantasy. Yeah. If you want to do fantasy league, I'm gonna join, but I'm probably gonna suck. So that'll be fun. You can mock me. That'll be good. And yeah, so yeah, you're gonna get that just out on Facebook and then share it.
Yeah.
Cool.
Great. So you can join up.
Yeah, and as always, you can like, share, and subscribe. We're live at the moment on Facebook. We'll put these up on YouTube too if you want to watch that in replay on YouTube. You can listen to us in audio form on the Anchor platform, which goes out to Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. So make sure you like and subscribe and give us a rating and review of 5 stars, because that'll help get us out there to other Kings fans out there. And as always, we will see you guys next time
on the King's Dome.